Gotta get this help, you know.
Islam, Moors. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
My salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
By day.
His holy prophet.
His holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your cards are for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you would be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but would sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Don't forget January 7th, Noble Drew Ali Day at Cecil Street, 25 Cecil Street, at the Steelworkers Union Hall, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. So that's our 13th annual Noble Drew Ali Day celebration. So we're asking all the Moors near Canaanland to be in attendance, and any Moors who are not near Canaanland or have some, real reason why you can't be there in person, you could email canaanlandguide@gmail.com and get yourself put on the list for the online viewing of Noble Drew Ali Day. So at least that way, if you're not here, you could still partake like we've been doing for the past 2 years during the little COVID nonsense. So we're going to carry on with the Moorish literature. This is Back to Basics 6. We're going to carry on with some of the Moorish literature as well as some parts of the Administrative Functions book. And we just wanted to put out, if anybody has any questions, you could ask those now, or you could save them for after. So the next reading, I think we read, I don't know, did we read tongues last time? Last session? Did you read tongues? If we read tongues, I can't remember. I know we were reading about the voting and all that. So we'll go over tongues again, even if we did it, we'll just go over tongues again. This is Friday, February 1st, 1929. One of the most difficult things in this world to get control of is the human tongue. Kipling never wrote anything truer than when he wrote that man may hold most any post if he'll only hold his tongue. Before you set your tongue to action, get it under control. A single tongue can do more harm in the world than a battalion of soldiers. And we're back on 5 notes up there. Yeah, we're back, yo. Everybody should be happy. For soldiers can kill but bodies, while the tongue can kill reputations and characters. Really, it is too bad that we have no laws to curb tongues from lying and scandalizing. No doubt, you all have read the story of Iago, a character in one of Shakespeare's plays, when he powerfully pictured in the character of Iago the terrible consequences following the path of an evil tongue. Iago not only destroyed the reputation and pure character of Desdemona, but he finally, through Othello, killed her body. That's why I say, compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, or else keep it still. Make it a rule of your life to use your tongue for high purposes only. Resolve to speak of man or woman of no other way unless you speak of good qualities of that man or woman. No one ever gained happiness out of injuring the feelings or characters of someone else. No one ever failed to get happiness by speaking well of other people. So learn as if you were to live forever. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Islam. Yeah, it's jackfruit and barbecue. Jackfruit's the one closest to you. It's jerk jackfruit. You had both of them ready?
No,
You just had the one? Yeah.
Barbecue one?
Yeah.
What was that, like a kale salad?
Yeah, kale slaw. So
What is it, like 1 for $5?
Yeah, and then you could just put the kale slaw on it to give it if you want a little something on there. So tongues, and then that's going back to in the warnings with him talking about no agitating speeches and things like that. You know, the same idea of making sure that the words that we're projecting are words of positivity and good vibrations. And anybody seen um, the speaking to water test when they were speaking to water? Then this Japanese man, I can't remember the name of the book, but they were doing these tests on the power of words, and then they spoke to water and then froze it, and then the water that they said positive stuff to had like designs of like snowflake designs and whatever like that, like patterns and whatever like that. And then the negative stuff was like the water was all messed up and when it froze or whatever. So stuff is real, you know what I
That's
mean?
what I've seen that before. That's
Yeah.
what I heard about first. Like, you're drinking your water.
Talk to the water before you drink. Say or whatever it is that you're consuming. Put some positive vibes to it before you indulge. Masterpiece of religious literature, Secrets of Other Creeds Revealed. Friday, December 15th, 1928. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali has spent many hours preparing the latest edition of the Quran, which will be a masterpiece of religious literature. To Americanize the Oriental idea of Islam involves many changes that are more or less negative to the main purpose of the Islamic religion. Such changes are carefully considered with the idea to avoid changing the complexion of the original text. The philosophy of the ancient prophets is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. No thoughts of propaganda enter this work, as has been the case of many former religious works, such as the Bible and other books of creed. The sole purpose of the Prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save fallen humanity. When a compiler attempts to inject propaganda into a work of this kind, there arises a need to cover the true text in order to prevent a clash with the truth and ideas involved in such propaganda. Former works of this kind have either hindered or helped the nations proportionately to the adherence to the truth as to the original purpose of keeping the ignorant in such a state. It is hard to resist the temptation to use this medium for gain. Hence, many of the former treaties on works of this kind have been the means to foster ideas of the unscrupulous wherein they desire to use religious influence for gain. The many secrets known to the Prophet that could be used for the salvation of the nation were either left out or colored to an extent that their meanings were made void. Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran. All the secrets of the ages known to man are put into this work. The secrets known only to the Magi are here revealed. The reading of the stars, the interpretation of the marriage relations, the understanding of the span of life, and other such as has been kept from the Occidental world are in the book boldly brought out. The Quran, Americanized as it will be, can be bought in a few weeks. It will be sent to all the governors of the Moorish Science Temple of America by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam. We can go over some parts in this. So in the first paragraph, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has spent many hours preparing the latest edition of the Quran, which will be a masterpiece of religious literature. To Americanize the Oriental idea of Islam involves many changes that are more or less negative to the main purpose of the Islamic religion. Such changes are carefully considered with the idea to avoid changing the complexion of the original text. So we're looking at Noble Drew Ali making reference to his book being called Quran, and then there's a book out there already called Quran, right? Now, the idea from what we look at, yeah, that's how I'm supposed to be sauce for that. Yeah, I forgot about the sauce. So when they're saying when he's saying to Americanize the Oriental idea, that goes in line with all the different individuals who wrote about Noble Drew Ali and referenced him from the perspective of him being the first to teach Islam to the Asiatics in America, that they can actually take it as something for them, opposed to Buddhism is for a particular people, Christianity is for a particular people, Islam is for a particular people, whatever it is out there. Scientology is for a particular people. And then we have something that's now geared for us to be able to use for our liberation, for our, mental wellness, for our spiritual awareness, that is taken from all these different places and then compiled so that our lessons could be geared toward our getting ourselves what we're in. Because like we said, the world at large has been victims of colonization, slavery, different types of inquisitory practices, taking people's culture from them, replacing their culture with different stuff. Like this is something that's gone on throughout time. And there's always one, some type of redeemer that comes to free those people. But what happens is that they get into this art. The individual that came is holier than everybody else's, whoever that came for them. So you need to follow our one in order to be, and then you see that repeated when it goes to, when you look into Islam, Judaism, everybody's trying to, make theirs be the one, as if, the higher forces isn't sending messengers of every race, creed, or whatever like that, so that everybody could be connected back to the one. So when we look at Noble Drew Ali and him making reference to, Moors as Mohammedans, and we honor all the prophets and whatever, it can't be misunderstood that he's the prophet for our day and time. Right? He's the prophet for our day and time. Even though we honor all the prophets, in our time, the prophet is Noble Drew Ali. It's not Muhammad, Jesus, or whatever like that. Those are prophets back there. You know what I mean? Those are inspirations for him to do what he's doing as far as his prophet work. And when you go back to all the prophets, they all tell you that, there's going to be more prophets and all of them will have the same message. It's not going to be some different thing. That's how you know the real from the fake ones. Because you should be able to take the Quran that Drew Ali brought, and then all the different holy books, and then you line them all up, or you take all the literature from all the different prophets, and you line them all up, and there should be relative messages in everybody's stuff. You know what I mean? And then you're supposed to be able to take whatever prophet's message with Noble Drew Ali's message, and then the same way that like when we deal with the Muslims, that they the Quran, you got to read the Quran every day. Yeah, we do read the Quran every day. No, we mean this Quran or whatever. Yeah, that's yours to read every day, right? Our Quran we're gonna read every day. We'll use all the other holy books as reference points, as places to get information, inspiration, or whatever. But don't get caught up in denouncing your own prophet for some prophets of yesteryear that You ain't even really know them people. You didn't have a picture of them prophets. Everybody's showing you drawings or whatever.
Because when you look at it, it's all about, like, each prophet is trying to teach a certain principle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Neutrality taught about truth, peace, freedom, justice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Buddha taught man honor man. Right? What did Jesus taught? Love your brothers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all about teaching what principle you want.
Yeah.
So ultimately, they're all the same. It's just different ways of looking at it.
Different angles. Yeah.
Different angles, right?
Different
Principles.
rays of the sun.
Right.
Yeah. The philosophy of the ancient prophets in the main initiative is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. No thoughts of propaganda enter this work, as has been the case of many former religious works, such as the Bible and other books of creed. So the Bible and other books of creed have gone to propaganda in the work. And then the only reason that propaganda is going to come up is because it has something to do with man. There ain't no other reason propaganda is going to be in there, right? So when I was talking with somebody about this last night, when they were making reference to when they talk about the Testament, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and then you have all the New Age religious whatevers, they use the New Testament, and then the more older ones, they use the Old Testament, and they would even shun the New Testament, and then the New Testament people are shunning the Old Testament, and but it's all supposed to be the same stuff. What do you mean how are you looking at it from that perspective? You know what I mean? That the lessons aren't in everything, right? Again, going back to Noble Drew Ali making it plain that we honor all the prophets, right? We're not denouncing them, or we're not saying they don't count or whatever like that, right? What they had applies. But when we look at our day and time, we have a prophet of our day and time that we should consider before we consider these other ones, because he took everything from all of them that he thought we needed the most and put that together so that we have that as our quote unquote holy book, opposed to all these other books being our holy book on top of the Quran.
So even in Christianity, there's a sect for every group
Right.
of people.
Yeah.
Mormons
Yeah.
use their own book.
Yeah.
There's like Pentecostals and everybody else,
Mhm.
agnostics and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But same kind of principles of values and you with like
And-
Amish people and stuff
Yeah.
like that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The sole purpose of the prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save fallen humanity. I know this is part of the aspect to it when we look at Noble Drew Ali with the purpose of why we're Moors, why we proclaim our nationality, why we got out of the dead state, is to be part of the uplifting work, because you can't uplift people if you're dead yourself. So him having the word tissue, him looking for the people to embrace their nationality. What also came with that was the obligations that we have, right? Not just to each other, but to humanity as a whole, because even like we were talking about earlier, even he came to warn the nations of the worst is yet to come. If you don't live by these principles, you're pretty much done for. And that goes for everybody across the board. It's not just a Moorish thing only. Everybody should be living by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If everybody lived by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the world will definitely be a better place than it has been. You know what I mean? And then the further that they stray from the principles, the worse the conditions of the people get, regardless of where it is. You know what I mean? So going back to earlier, that, you know, if we're gonna have the ability to serve humanity that came off the street hungry, you got anything that we can get? You got some sandwiches right over there, right? Going with the principle, going with first principle, that, you know, they ain't know them from anybody, but they know they could walk in this door and get something, whether it's some change, whether it's a bottle of water, whether it's sandwich or whatever like that. They know they can walk in here. And then if we check this strip going from up there to down there, there's probably maybe 5 places that are open on a Sunday that you could walk into on here, right? And going back to the thing of living by the principles, so that we know that our institution is assisting in the work of uplifting fallen humanity. That, you know, he needed some change to get on the bus to go to the shelter. Some Moors gave him some change, right? That's Allah working. You know what I mean? That he knew he could walk in here and get it, right?
Couldn't go to the church next door.
Couldn't go to the church people. He already knows not to go in there, right? He already knows past them and come in here, because the Moors will set him up with something, right? And again, it's the theme of uplifting fallen humanity. You know what I mean? Humanity has fallen to those depths. You know, that's just 2 out of how much ever thousands. You know what I mean? And like Rennie was saying, it's interesting that they would get the love and then go back to hatred out there. Right? They would get the love and then go back to something that's not serving them. Right? When they could have got the love and then stayed, and who knows what else that they would have got. That might have been the thing that changed their life. You know what I mean? That they start working it, but, you know, we don't make this stuff up. We're just here doing our part.
One of them was, sorry, one of them was dedicated to the sons of men.
Okay, all right.
Trying to understand, like, the principles that apply to, like, if you apply to, like, let's say mainstream public figures versus the ones that are not in the public sphere, you know, because I often see, like, artists, especially, that'll go into the public sphere and then sometimes they'll take a step back,
Right.
like they know too much or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But what's stopping people that are in the mainstream? Like, I kind of get an overall idea, because you go there and then you can't say certain things. You gotta protect your
Reputation or whatever.
reputation or whatever.
Yeah. Tenure. Yeah.
Is it for us to become mainstream? It is, I guess, to push that message, but why isn't it bigger on a mainstream level for them to push that?
Well, I think part of it is Drew Ali's prophecy that there's only going to be a handful saved with fingers left over, which lets me know that this is not a mainstream thing. Like, this is not a thing that it's going to be the masses that are going to be gravitating to this. It's going to be select individuals who recognize what it is based on energy, studying, whatever. Light bulb's going to go off for them, and once they're in this is where it's at. They're not going to be jumping around to different stuff or whatever the case is. With the mainstream, it's just what you said. They have too much. Well, they think they have too much to lose. They think that, you know, they've lived up to a certain standard, and they don't want to lose that standard based on some stuff that they're following or studying, or like the Kyrie thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
He just posted a link and lost 40 million or whatever like that. Prior to that, he said no vax and lost how much ever million. You know what I mean? Now, you know, my mindset is, well, if they're in the sphere like that, and they've been in there for a little while, then they should have something stashed away or something like that. Ain't no way you're making 40 million a year and you're gonna be broke in 2 years unless you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you really gonna lose if they kick you out the league, or if you don't get signed again, or whatever the case is? Like, you know, is everything that they have not paid for that they're gonna lose? Like, they didn't buy anything. Everything is you know what I mean, monthly payments or something like that. Then okay, I guess they gotta keep their whatever it is. You know what I mean? But when we look at people like a good example is Ivan van Sertima. When he wrote They Came Before Columbus, the amount of editing that had to go into that, the final thing, so that he didn't lose his tenure, right? And then with what was presented, they still railroaded him, and it was edited crazy. It was edited, yeah. He's a scholar already. You know what I mean? It lets you know how far these people are willing to go to keep the truth hidden and to push the lies. You know what I mean? But it takes some strong people to be on this side of the information and keep this side at the forefront, talking about nationality, talking about law, talking about the true aspect of history, making sure that it's known to the people that this is what they're keeping back from you. If you had all this, then you wouldn't even care about the little finance that they're giving you. You know what I mean? Because we know everybody who's getting something to be wherever they are, whether they're getting 60 grand a year, whether they're getting 500 million a year. Whoever is giving them that is making quadruple that. So they aren't really making anything really. You know what I mean? Like you're still even at the 400 million level. If I get a record deal and the record's gonna make me 100 million, then the record company is making 400 million. You know what I mean? That alone should have you pissed to want to leave or whatever. Because how are you the one doing all the work? It's just like when they do the award shows and the first thing you go, yeah, I'd like to thank Jesus for giving me the strength to do this and that. What are you talking about? Jesus wasn't in no studio singing no songs. Like, what do you mean? Jesus didn't produce no beats. Well, the power, Jesus didn't write no songs or whatever like that. Yeah. You definitely know Jesus wasn't in that, talking about booties and all that. You definitely know it was no Jesus. Stop this.
You mentioned how, it takes a strong amount of people. Never mind our people, like, honorable teachers out there, doing what they do.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the Europeans, like Peter Moon and Rick Smith,
Yeah.
Like those guys, like those are their people, like. If their people are saying it and they're coming out making sure we know certain things, and like that's how you know that Allah is the greatest planet.
Yeah.
It's not even our people, it's the Europeans. I'll be honest.
Yeah. And if they're going hard, you know what I mean? Like, one of the speakers for Juali Day, Michelle Gibson, you know what I mean? Like the angle that she's going with putting out the information, being that she's European, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you're European.
I see one that Brother Kush Day posted with Miscegenation. It was a lady on the scholar, and I was like, wow, now and white lady, European.
Yeah.
She's talking about how brothers were fighting together with them to fight against these laws, against interracial relationships and all this other stuff, and how the term white came into effect in 1967. I think 1967.
Yeah.
And I was, just that alone, just her putting that information out there, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then the other part of the issue with it is that when certain stuff gets put out by those individuals, you would think that it's going to inspire our people, You know what I mean? Just like European, everything else inspires them to do stuff. You know what I mean? Some European talking about, you know, black and white is a fiction and white came about in 1950s, so stop saying that, and they're still going ahead with it. Then it gets into, okay, well, we know that some work is being done specifically on our people to keep them in the place that they're at. You know what I mean?
And if you think about it too, I just want to say that, like, I thought about this yesterday, that, you know, when you, other people that are from other different nations, they might not even have television networks and, like, you know, of like Hollywood images that they might see on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've been taking this narrative from Hollywood because that's, you know, our parents set us in front of the TV, and then that's what we learn, and now we're just obsessed with that narrative, that version of
that brainwash.
That's what
what history is, or that's who we are. Yeah. And again, all those things that we have, all those revelations that we have, you know what I mean? Seeing people in certain situations and seeing our people going through certain examples of life that is like, wow, why is it our people going through this and all that? All this stuff is just because we never had a prophet. And then we go check everybody else, and everybody else has their prophet, and they're going with their prophet 100, you know, questions asked. They're going with what their prophet taught them. They're taking their prophet's holy book. They're not playing, well, we have our prophet, but then the prophet over there, we're going to go to his stuff and stuff. They ain't playing none of that. They're diehard with theirs. You know what I mean? I ain't seeing Asians eating somewhere other than the Asian spot. I don't see them eat anywhere else. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I don't see them eating in other spots.
You don't even see them go to like certain grocery stores a lot of them. And there's a lot of them around here, eh? A lot of them around here, but it's like, where are they all at? Where do they shop at? They all go to their own place.
What do they know? Where are they going that they have access to everything?
And they'll drive 45 minutes, an hour.
Just to go support their own. Drive an hour. You know? All right. The many secrets known to the prophet, former works of this kind have either hindered or helped the nations proportionately to the adherence to the truth as to the original purpose of keeping the ignorant in such a state. It is hard to resist the temptation to use this medium for gain. Right, and then that's the line for all the package selling people, all the, you know, trying to get your finance some type of way, you know, realizing that having knowledge and knowing that there's not too much knowledge out there, that you can manipulate individuals to you know, donate, give, or whatever to you, just like these people with they need a platform all of a sudden. So we need 2,500, you know, all you gotta do is give $5 and then, you know, you'll help us get our stuff that we're supposed to get or whatever, you know. But then when you check, well, okay, well, what are they doing for the people? What are they doing for humanity? How is you know, giving to whatever cause a benefit? You know what I mean? To the people as a whole. Or is it just benefiting these individuals who they're giving their finance to? Which defeats the purpose. You know what I mean? Like if it's just going to them and they're the only ones benefiting from it, then that's not really for the salvation of the people. These are the same people that he's talking about. The ones who cannot resist the temptation to use this medium of teaching people, using that for gain, right? Many of the former treaties on works of this kind have been the means to foster ideas of the unscrupulous wherein they desired to use religious influence for gain. The many secrets known to the prophet that could be used for the salvation of the nation were either left out or colored to an extent that their meaning was made void. Right? So after going through all the information and handpicking what it is that was meant for our salvation, everything else is void, because he already got us everything out of the lessons that, you know, are the ancient lessons from, you know, whoever and whatever, and that compiled in this little form, so that now we have access to what we specifically need, you know, which is same thing with the 101 questionnaire, where he gave you the question and the answer. So you don't have to do too much research. He did everything for you. All you gotta do is take what he brought and apply what he brought. Guarantee you it's gonna yield something for you in some way, shape, or form. Right? Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran. Right? Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran. All the secrets of the ages known to man are put into this work. The secrets known only by the Magi are here revealed. The reading of the stars, the interpretation of marriage relations, the understanding of the span of life, and other such as has been kept from the Occidental world are in this book boldly brought out. Right? So the secrets known only to the Magi is what he presented to the Moors in our Quran. And if the Magi are the high priests, and then the high priests are the ones who ran everything, right? Whether it was high priests or high priestesses or whatever like that, the ones who were the God's elect, or the council of the elders or whatever like that, those are the ones who had all the info. So now if Noble Drew Ali is going to present to us literature, and he's saying that, well, all the literature, all the information of the high priest is what I'm presenting to you here, then obviously he's making you high priest. Obviously your position is to be high priest when you get into this info. And that's where you're starting at. You're not coming in starting at kindergarten or whatever like that. You're coming in starting at high priest. Right? And then going back to the red book, when they're talking about the priesthood is dead and there's no need for the priest because every man's supposed to be unto themselves a priest. We were talking about this on Friday night. We were dealing with some new Moors Friday night, and they were talking about the Grand Sheik and what's the titles and different titles or whatever. It was like, all them titles are your title. Like, you're supposed to be Grand Sheik, Grand Governor, Grand whatever, so that as soon as something happens to the head, then another head could just grow back immediately, and the stuff is going to continue. But the idea is get the people to see the head as the head of the whatever, and then everybody's under that, and then nobody's getting the knowledge to be there. That's what they learned after with if you say even Dr. York, that as soon as they got him out the way, now the thing's falling over, because nobody else took the position of they're going to be head if something happens. Matter of fact, same thing happened with Moorish militia. As soon as those 11 Moors got kidnapped, now there's no militia now. Just because nobody said, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to assist so that if something happens, this stuff could carry on. Right?
That's why Prophet was the mastermind, because he said we pointed sheiks and sheiksas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then said all power vested in me. So then we wouldn't have that whole, shouldn't be fighting about who's supreme this, supreme that.
Yep.
The prophet said all power vested in me anyway.
Yep.
So.
There's one head of the temple.
Right.
There's one temple.
And you just be your own master and serve self and all his mind. But he made it so simple, and then our people are still, still confusion.
Yeah. Because the condition is that it has to be some advanced thing. It has to be, too much to fathom. So, what I mean? You can't figure this stuff out. No, anybody can figure this out. Anybody could be Grand Chief tomorrow. Like it's not that serious. You just go study, show yourself approved, and then that's what it is. There's people right now who we can, even if we go in our chat, we pull some Moors from our chat, and I'll put them as head of some of these temples out here that's been had heads for 50, 60 years. They haven't done anything with the position. And then these Moors will go in there and stuff will change immediately. Just because they're going in with a totally different mindset. They're not going in with this holier than thou because I have a title, so now you gotta, I'm walking, you got a whole umbrella over me and all this. That's not what this stuff was created for. You know what I mean? This was so that everybody starts on the level of high priest. Once you're coming in on that level, then these are your obligations as high priest. Live according to your obligations that you have as high priest. But if you're coming in as member, follower, you know what I mean? I just want to check to see what this is about, whatever, then stuff's never going to go anywhere because it's the people who are going to make this be something. You know what I mean?
Even in analyzing that, I feel like it's that disconnection between our indigenous roots.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way a lot of Europeans subjugate their government is all hierarchy.
Right.
So based off that hierarchy, it's like, they're always trying to work their way up, where indigenous people, we still have that circular view of life cycle. And, trees are animate, like everything has life aspect of it. They don't really have that, they don't really apply that. They took it from us. Mm-hmm. Right? And I feel like we don't, when we're growing up through our adolescence, our teens and adolescence and things like that, it's like we disconnect ourselves because, that's a big responsibility, like you're saying. It's like, we're starting off as high priests and then we've already kind of been, traumatized by the rest of the stuff that they were doing to us. So it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, let me just leave myself blindly and listen to everybody else that might have some more knowledge than myself. So everybody's listening to Tupac. Tupac's like the word, Biggie is the word. You know what I mean? Trying to relate to them, or in their environment. It's that disconnect, I guess. That's what I'm just catching from that. The responsibility of, taking that challenge ultimately. As a responsibility, if that's your path.
But it's like I was watching a thing with with Kobe, and he's talking about how he was able to get received by Jordan because Jordan was here and then he met him here. And then he looked at it like, oh, this guy's on the same level as, you got the same passion as I do. You're gonna do, leave your wife to come play ball and stuff too. Well, shit, and sure, why not? I will give you everything that I know. You know what I mean? Because he realized the obligation. You know what I mean? That if this guy's the best, then it's only logical that you do what the best did if you want to be the best too. Like, that stuff's not rocket science, but how many people have that? Some people just take, I'm 6'8" and I could do like this. So that's all I need to do. I don't need to do nothing else. I'm already getting my 40 million or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Then you have people who, I'm not losing to anybody. I could do this, but I ain't losing to anybody if I do this. I don't care what it is, I'm not losing. You know what I mean? I'm going to win every finals. I'm going to be every MVP. I'm going to win every time I go there, and no one's beating me. That's a certain mindset. You know what I mean? You know, the man who's going to go say, you know, bench whatever. You know, there's a guy who's going to, he's, 45 and that's it. There's a guy who's going to put 6 plates on there and say, well, I don't know about no 45. We'll do 6 plates. Forget 4 plates, because it's a mindset. There's something, the wiring is different. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with this, that there's people who come into this and, there are more. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not Negro, black, colored. I'm a more. And they're not going further. And there's other people who every detail of their life has to be Moorish. And if it's not, they're going to do everything that they can to make sure that every detail of their life is based in Moorish. You know what I mean? Open the cupboards, it's just going to be Moorish in there. The clothes, it's just going to be Moorish in there. You know what I mean? Right? They got people who they went for, holistic living or whatever like that, and they never seen, Colgate in 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, Colgate, what's that? They know what that is. You know what I mean? Colgate, like toothpaste or whatever.
Okay.
Water, tap water. I mean, tap water. Like, what do you mean tap water? Other than showering or whatever, like, what are you doing with that? It's a mindset that is not. This is why Juali said that Arabs are born, not made, because you're gonna come into this with the knowledge already. Like when the Moors near Mecca were prepping us for the Arab chamber, and they're asking questions. Okay, so who you been studying from? And then we go down all the list of everybody who we studied from. Like, oh, so you're Arab already. Like, what what do you need? What are we gonna do? What more could we teach you if your teacher is C. Freeman L., going down the line, Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, Rosmariah Bey, Taj Shriek Bey, Grand Sheik Nature, Aleem Bey. Like, we can't teach you anything if those are your teachers already. Most we could do is verify that, okay, yeah, you are who you say that you are. Now, we'll sign off on that because we all have the same master teachers. This is not some far-fetched thing. Once you have those master teachers, you're definitely on the path of being whatever it is that you're going to be, Islam. Our dollars and cents. The doctrine of economic security is by no means as widespread and intensive among Americans of our group as the circumstances demand. And the more written and said on the subject, the better. We need to more earnestly urge conscientious support of the businessmen and women of our group in their chosen fields of endeavor. The greater the success of their business enterprises, the more open gates of opportunity there will be for our youth of today and tomorrow. Think of this fact. We need to urge that our businessmen and women build on the principle of service. We need to urge greater cooperation among them to render courteous, honest, and efficient service to the buying public. They should not expect any support in patronage merely on the grounds that they are racemen and women in business, but for the reasons that the service and the quality of their goods and products they sell are equal in value to the service and merchandise offered to the buying public by any other business people. There should be maintained a cooperative spirit among our businessmen and women to keep their business places as clean and sanitary as similar places in any other section of the city. Citizens of our group should cultivate a sound vision when it comes to the necessity of buying professional service merchandise, provisions, etc. We should look beyond the direct result and object of which we invest our money. We should lose sight of the mere fact that we received $1's worth for $1 spent. We should keep firmly in mind the necessity of keeping each dollar spent as much as possible within the spheres of our own activities, where they will create further openings of business enterprises and wider opportunities for men and women of our group to procure soundly remunerative employment. Forward, we must be the watchword of the seller and buyer alike. We make the money and we spend the cash. Let us sincerely cooperate one with the other. Our plight will change when we change ourselves. Islam. All right, so going again to, right, and then it's called our dollars and cents, and cents is S-E-N-S-E, not C-E-N-T-S. Right, so our dollars and cents. We need to more earnestly urge conscientious support of the businessmen and women of our group in their chosen fields of endeavor. The greater the success of their business enterprises, the more open gates of opportunity will be for our youth of today and tomorrow. Think of this fact. We need to urge that our businessmen and women build on the principle of service. So the idea of having some type of business or trade, whatever it is that we're doing, for it to be where it is that we want it to be, it has to be looked at as providing impeccable service to the community, not just to the members only or whatever like that, or because it's a Moor, we're going to deal with them right, and then because it's Albion, we're not going to deal with them right. We're going to deal with them however, because they don't got a nationality or whatever the case is, right? Service is a principle. So it has to be dealt with with that sense of delicacy. You know what I mean? Because you give the wrong person service, then you probably gonna have some issue. Just one individual. It was like that experiment when the dude was giving out 10 grand, but asking people to give him $1. And he's going around for hours. You got $1 or whatever like that, kind of hungry, need something to eat. No, sorry, you can't help, whatever like that. Highwayman. You got $1. I just want to get something to eat. I'm hungry. Nah, sorry. You got $1 so I could get something to eat. I'm just hungry, whatever like that. Nah. $1. Then some lady and her husband or something. You guys got $1 or whatever like that. No problem. Give him $1. Oh, thanks. This man's going in his bag or whatever like that. Like, no, come on, stop. This man pulls out 10 grand. You just, just thank you for being freaking. Thank you for being a human being or whatever like that. Give me $2. You know what I mean? Like, no, we can't take it or whatever. Like, he's like, no, don't worry, I got money. It's okay. Like, at this point, it's like, no, it's all right. We don't need it. We're well off or whatever. Like, no, you're okay. Open your purse. There you go. You know what I mean? You get it just because. You know what I mean? Service. That was it. Right? We need to urge greater cooperation among them to render courteous, honest, and efficient service to the buying public. Right? And then you have the other side of that, where the buying the public is buying, but they're not receiving anything. When you talk about the package sellers or whatever like that, and then those people have some serious service. Their site is perfect and whatever like that. The thing's scrolling across. You know what I mean? Nothing's blurry on the site. You know what I mean? You push the thing once, it's taking you directly to the PayPal and all this or whatever like that. Everything's just running smooth until you pay your finance, and then now you can't get anybody on the phone. Send emails, no replies from anybody. Right? Everything is going wrong after you give up your finance to these people. Right? Before you gave your finance, stuff was perfect. Like you're getting callbacks and all that. Like, yo, yeah, I'm a nationalize with these Moors right here. These are the ones. As soon as you give your finance, can't find them. Right? You know, so don't be conned by courteous, honest, and efficient service either. You know what I mean? If you walk in the spot and you know the floor is mopped and the windows are shiny and whatever like that, with dudes behind the counter just digging his nose with his hand and all that stuff, they're probably setting you up. It's probably not really how it goes, right?
It's like it reminds me when I got called in to actually render the service of someone else. You know, like to change over like the look of the work that the outcome of their work.
Yeah.
The service that they gave wasn't like up to par. It wasn't like they got paid and then like the result in the end was you got to do this again.
Yeah.
You know. I can imagine they played it out pretty well. They did it to a certain degree,
Yeah.
and in the end they're like, whoa. So they have to get it done over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it appeared that the service that they gave was looking like was it. You know?
Yeah.
So,
What bothers me about that is like we won't even take the time to go and get the knowledge and learn what needs to be done in order to get to that standard.
That too.
Like my parents, it's like they'll try to find 20 different people to try to get a discount.
Yeah.
Rather than just trying to figure out
how to do it.
You know, and then when the job's done, they're still gonna end up anyways. It's just, want to get some money back or something.
Yeah. We should look beyond the direct result and object of which we invest our money. We should lose sight of the mere fact that we received $1's worth for $1 spent. We should keep firmly in mind the necessity of keeping each dollar spent as much as possible within the spheres of our own activities, where they will create further openings of business enterprises and wider opportunities for the men, women of our group to procure soundly remunerative employment. And that's the same thing that everybody else knows, that the dollar should go around 15 times before it goes out of the community. That's just what the standard is. There's no going out there to go spend with somebody else when you could spend it with your own. And nobody else out there who could spend with their own is going to go spend with somebody else. We're the only ones who do that. Everybody else is going to go to their own first, right?
That's what we were saying last week. Holding instructions from the prophet of justice, keep the desires of the heart, therefore within the bounds of moderation.
Yep. Following our leaders. The thousands of Moorish Americans will follow their leaders, regardless of propaganda put forth by those who have designs to hinder them in the work for the advancement of their people. We will not stop to question the requisites, qualifications, nor anything else, so long as our leaders who have invested and passed on the course of action which we feel is enough endorsement for us to act. We have long known that the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among their followers. Such will such will never be the case with the Moorish Americans. For when we have chosen our leader, that within itself tells the world that we are going to follow them. All of the knocks and slams that come from anyone against our leaders will be ignored by us. Where they lead us, we will follow. Right? And again, that's in Drew Ali's time, when he's saying follow the leaders, you're following the leaders who were either sanctioned by him or that live by the principles, like we say, it is known by everybody that this individual is honorable. So we're going to ride with them. Right? That, their activity is known. So we're going to ride with them. It's not going to be some hearsay thing why we're going to be supporting somebody who, quote unquote, is a Moorish leader. It's going to be based on their works that they're doing, that qualifies them. Right? We will not stop to question the requisites, qualifications, or anything else as long as our leaders have investigated and passed on the course of action which we feel is enough endorsement for us to act. Right? Now, and then the other part to take from this is that following our leaders doesn't mean be a follower. Following our leaders doesn't mean somebody over there says they're a Moorish leader, so we're just going to chase them because they say that they're a Moorish leader. The Moorish leader has to be qualified in that role of leadership, right? Because yes, regardless of the propaganda put forth by those who have designs to hinder them in the work for the advancement of their people, we will not stop to question anything. Right? There's gonna be propaganda. Right? Look at all the BS they said about El Hajj. Right? And then that was coming from people who he was down with before. And now because he saw a new light, he starts dealing with things in a different way. Now they're saying that, oh, nah, we're gonna kick him out and he can't be part of this and don't listen to him. He's da. Right? Everybody knew that the membership would follow him. That's why they put up all this propaganda against him so that people wouldn't follow him, because he would have took the whole NOI with him when he left. Right? And again, going back to the same thing that they weren't questioning his requisites and his qualifications or whatever like that, because he was a man of integrity and everybody knew. Right? He wasn't a man of deceit and corruption and whatever like that. He was true to the cause, and everybody knowing that he was true to the cause, they would have rode with him 100%. And it's only because of the same thing, the following our leaders, and then the followers listening to these leaders talk crazy about him, why they stayed put, to the point where in the when Farrakhan let the cat out the bag, talking about, he's our traitor, we dealt with him how we deal with our traitors and all that stuff or whatever, and everybody's in the back clapping and all that. Yeah, that's right or whatever. Well, hold on a second. What you mean? What do you mean? How you clapping? How you not getting up and walking out at that point? Right? Same thing with Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali transitioned, then all of a sudden all these people are Ali all of a sudden. Oh, you guys weren't Ali when Noble Drew Ali was around. Oh, you guys Ali's all of a sudden. How are you head of something now that he's gone? Right? How are you a reincarnated Noble Drew Ali now that Noble Drew Ali's gone? Why weren't you reincarnated Noble Drew Ali when he was here? Right? Yeah, but just know that following our leaders doesn't mean be a follower of a leader. Following our leaders means that we recognize the activity of the leader, and because their footprints are clear in the sand, we're gonna follow. Right? Dedicated to the sons of man. Amexem, the land of our fathers, the land where the gods love to dwell, the birthplace of the ancient Egypt land, where civilization first saw the light of day. Now, since man has left his religion, he has been suffering from a complex disease which in some way takes hold of his passions and desires. The misdirection of his brain causes him to become a living monster. He is a slave to his lower self. No scientists nor doctors have been able to find anything to effect a cure until the coming of Prophet Noble Juali, who comes from the east bringing the light of new day. The Moorish divine movement built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the salvation for the nation. In the deliberation of nations, no consideration is given to people who are not of a nation. Peace more. In 1774, the Europeans of this country took the birthrights away from a people whom they forced under bondage. They were not slaves, they were bound freemen. The subsequent generation who followed them in this bondage were slaves because their minds had been subjugated to a European psychology. They were branded with the name Negro and were separated from the illustrious history of their forefathers who were the founders of the first civilization. Dedicated to the sons of man. Now, since man has left his first religion, he has been suffering from a complex disease which in some way takes hold of his passions and desires. Right, so again, this idea of coming into this on the level of high priest is supposed to have you not be in the lower self and caught up in the passions and desires. So certain things are eliminated from the being when as soon as they get to this level of the info. Automatically stuff's supposed to change, conditions supposed to change, economics supposed to change, because you're vibrating on a different frequency. The only way that the stuff doesn't change is that if you're not vibrating on the frequency that you're supposed to be vibrating on when you get into this. So it's presented or put to people as if, you know, the purpose of this is some type of religious ideal, right? When everything about this is about divine. Everything about this is about spiritual self-realization and getting yourself from the lower vibrations where you have these passions, desires, and things that you can't control to being able to control those things, right?
Being in sync.
Yeah, right. Right, which is why with the next line, the misdirection of his brain causes him to become a living monster. The misdirection of his brain, right? So when we look at the there's patterns. So if we use the basketball analogy or even some sport or whatever like that, majority of those things are dealing with muscle memory. So once if you train with somebody and they teach you to take punches, then when you go in the ring, you take punches. Because you trained yourself to be able to withstand blows, right? If you're trained to bob and weave, then when you go in there, then it's going to be automatic. Guy goes like this, you're going to go like this. It's just going to be part of the wiring in your brain that certain actions are going to make you do a certain reaction. Even with what you're doing with taping, you've been taping so much that I'm sure right now it's just and it's not even no question for you, whereas somebody else comes in, they'll be there, they don't know how to rip the tape properly, the ladder's in the wrong spot, you know what I mean? There's things that they're going to do that's just going to slow down the work that could be done once they had certain things that they were given, right? So we became slave to our lower self because our brain's been misdirected. And then they misdirect the brain in different ways. They got propaganda, they got, European psychology, they got wrong information, they got, whatever it is that they're going to use. The point is to get the brain not to be wired properly in the end of it, right?
Like essentially creating the caveman, the troglodyte.
In a different being. So you have gods with caveman mentalities when they're supposed to have a God mentality. And then the caveman has the God mentality, then and now they're ruling.
Yeah.
Right? But the God mentality doesn't fit with them. So even they're misdirected in their wiring of their brain. That everything that they do is gonna be, everything that they create is gonna be for destruction. You know what I mean? Everything that we create is supposed to be for the founding of civilization. But if they have our people thinking, well, civilization is United States and Canada and all these different illusions opposed to the society, right, that you come from, then you're going to end up building up somebody else's stuff and not even know that that's what you're doing. When we're talking about our people who are the scientists and our people who are the doctors and whatever, and all of them are working for somebody else and building up somebody else's thing. But then when you check all the other nations, they're working for their nation first, and then they're going to work for somebody else after, if working for their nation causes some type of imbalance or whatever like that. Then they'll go there.
Similar story to that, where even if they're not even in their nation, there's still a sense working for their nation.
Yeah.
In the sense of gathering intelligence and bringing it back to their nation, working for another nation.
Yeah.
But their first duty is to
their own,
the information for their nation, even though it's like the court system, right? They represent you. You think they're their first duty.
First they're for the courts first. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
you're the last thing that they're thinking about.
Right.
Also, it's kind of reflective of Deuteronomy 28, where it talks about how if you're not honoring, your forefathers and foremothers, and how the Israelites and stuff like that, they're disobeying God. Basically, they're gonna be farming on other people's land.
Yeah.
Their children are gonna be given to to the colonizer and whatnot.
Yeah. And all that is the stuff that we see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's all due to the misdirection of the brain. The neural pathways or the circuits of the brain not connected. The circuits of the brain are dead wires. Because no scientists nor doctors have been able to find anything to affect a cure until the coming of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who comes from the east, bringing the light of the new day. And then light is knowledge. And then the only thing that's going to save the people is knowledge. And then scriptures tell them that. You die for lack of knowledge. You don't die for lack of anything else other than lack of knowledge. Because the more knowledge that you get, the more your brain's going to be active. And then the more your brain's active, the more you're going to send out the right energies that's going to hit whatever and then come back to you in whatever form that you need it to. Right? In the deliberation of nations, no consideration is given to a people who are not of a nation. In the deliberation of nations, no consideration is given to people who are not of a nation. And then we have all these different bodies of individuals who find whatever means it is to get our people to be inspired, be liberated, be this, be that, da da da, and then nobody's mentioning nation. Right? We go through all the different schools of thought, and they have everything that they can give to the people. They have all the lessons, they have all the holy books, they have all the prophets, and they have all the everything, but they're not a nation. So whatever they say doesn't mean anything. Doesn't matter what they say.
Or they go Nation of Islam, which is not a nation.
Right, or they're gonna call themselves, Nation of Gods and Earths or whatever. When ain't no gods and Earths, Adonia. There's nothing that these people are saying that they're from, right? They say, we're Israelites, so we're from Israel. Well, Israel's that's occupied. That's the occupier. That's not Israel. They're the occupiers that took somebody else's stuff. I was watching a thing where some Palestinian lady, went to work and came home, and the Israelis took her house. You get up, you go to work, right? You go do your taping or whatever like that. You come home, and some colonist is in your house telling you about this is not yours anymore. This is my house. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean this is your? What are you talking about? I just left 6 hours ago, 8 hours ago. Like, what do you mean I come back and you took it over?
They're shuffling stuff.
Crazy.
Down.
Crazy. Yeah, like lock change and everything, huh? Like he's not working and all that. No, nothing. They're inside their house telling them this is not theirs anymore. Crazy. Right? That's the same people telling people they're anti-Semite or whatever. Right? They were not slaves. They were bound free men. Right? All these little keys that Noble Drew Ali was presenting, we're not slaves, we're bound free men. And then all the people are going to talk about their slaves still. That if they said that they were bound free men, they would probably get reparations already. Just on that statement alone. That being spread throughout, the diaspora, everybody who's claiming that they were slave from Africa, stop saying they're slave from Africa, start saying they're bound free men. And see what the interaction is going to be with the people who so-called enslaved us. If we're speaking in that type of language, we're bound free men, opposed to we're slaves, things will change. Right? The subsequent generation who followed them in this bondage were slaves because their minds had been subjugated to a European psychology. So the initial people were bound free men. Because they embraced that they're slaves, now their generations are slaves now. Now their generations are not bound free men, their generations are slaves because they fell to the European psychology that we're black, we're African, we're West Indian, we're the different islands and all that. We're everything except who our ancient foremothers and forefathers were. So now we're subject to the European psychology and everything that comes with that. They were branded with the name Negro and were separated from the illustrious history of their forefathers who were the founders of the first civilization. So knowing that just like you said with Deuteronomy, honor thy father and thy mother, and the name should be on the earth land. then all somebody has to do is convince you that you're not your foremothers and forefathers, and then your days will be short. And that's without them having to do anything. All they did was convince the people not to be your foremothers and forefathers. That's all they did. Once they did that, everything else is just like dominoes. Hit one of them, and then all the rest of the dominoes are falling over. Right? We got 130. Nicknamed. When the forefathers of the Moorish Americans were first brought to this nation, they had a nationality and a name. But in order to separate them from the achievements of their fathers, a name was given to them which had no connection whatever with the founders of civilization. They were nicknamed Negroes. Today, in this nation, there is no such thing as Negroes in the sense that they are called. Just why so many of the intelligent Americans will continue to cling to this nickname is hard to understand. If you look in some dictionaries, you will see that the word Negro means a sly person, a coon. If this is not an insult to the illustrious history of a nation, there can never be one given. Just as they have saddled on the Moorish Americans the name Negro, they have also given him a religion that was made to enslave him and stop his progress. It is the duty of every man who lives to redeem the name of his forefathers and not be herded into a mass of weaklings. Stop referring to yourself as Negro, colored, and black, for you are neither. You are men. American citizens, speak up for yourselves, or it will never be done. As long as you wear the clothes of another, or live in the house of another, or depend on another in any manner, you are truly a slave to them. If you would be free, indeed, you must seek the truth. You must know the truth of your nationality and the name of your people. You must not be a coward and deny yourself the personal rights that belong to every man. Right? So when the forefathers of the Moorish Americans were first brought to this nation, they had a nationality and a name. But in order to separate them from the achievements of their forefathers, a name was given to them which had no connection whatever to the founders of civilization. So since there's no connection to the founders of civilization based on this name that we adopted that's not ours, now there's no connection to the achievements of those founders of civilization. Which is why when you look into the Black history, whatever like that, you're not going to hear them talk about Moorish, Moors, anything like that when it's Black History celebration time, right? Because the whole point of that psychology is to get the people to not be their foremothers and forefathers. So now you can't have the achievements. Just like they had this color reproduction of Black Wall Street. And then they were talking about, the first black bank and whatever like that. And then they showed, like the Negroes walking out the bank and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And everybody's, happy that, they got the first black bank. And then the camera spans to the bank, and the bank's called First National Bank. So if the bank's called First National Bank, then clear it's not a black bank. And then if this First National Bank is in a community, then more than likely it's nationals that were in this community, not blacks. And the whole idea of quote unquote a Black Wall Street is actually a fiction, a created thing. There's no Black Wall Street like that in that idea, because everybody who was part of those those communities that were created, all of them were indigenous people. All of them came out of the Trail of Tears. There was no slaves who started up some community or whatever like that, and the community was prosperous and everybody's trying to go there.
Especially in a time when they're creating those laws where they're saying that the blacks are subjects and they can't own anything.
Yeah, and they can't own anything or whatever like that. How are slaves have a community with banks and hospitals and lawyers' offices and all this, bakeries and fisheries and whatever like that. But slaves can't own anything, right? There's another part in here that. Or if you look in some dictionaries, you will see the word Negro means a sly person, a coon. If this is not an insult to the illustrious history of a nation, there can never be one given. If that's not an insult, knowing that these people are the founders of civilization, and instead of calling them their name as the founders of civilization, you're going to call them sly, call them coon, call them adjective, call them continents, call them all these things that they're not. And then the people getting called these things, not taking that as an insult. Then they know you can't insult them any more than that. If they're going to accept that spot, knowing, and again, it's talking, if you look in some dictionaries, so that would mean you would have to be doing some type of research to realize that that's not who you are. Because these people who are colonizing aren't going to tell you, just like when they talk about any of these colonial bodies, individuals, that they take over a spot and then they name the spot their name, and then everybody starts calling the spot the colonial name when they know that's the colonial name. Why are you calling it that? Oh, well, history, it changes, and they start talking all this BS or whatever to justify this fake stuff, right? When they should know better. They, just like we say with our people. Where did he say? Oh, you must know the truth of your nationality and the name of your people. You must not be a coward and deny yourself the personal rights that belong to every man. Clearly, our people, by visual presentation, aren't black people. Obviously, they're not black people. So to accept or embrace that, knowing that that's not the reality, is cowardice. And nobody's even going to do anything if you say, well, actually, I'm not black or whatever like that. It's actually brown or whatever. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. It's actually brown. But, we're just going to call you black just because, no, it's all right. Just that we're brown. You don't got to play the black stuff or whatever like that. They're not going to get mad. They're going to ask, why do you know? They're going, oh, yeah, why do you go there? They're not going to be defiant with you or, fight. You got to be black. You got to say you're black or whatever like that. No, only our people do that.
Fighting
only our people do that. Right?
Yeah, I've been there where, just angry,
Angry.
Some real savages.
Yeah.
Defending the black thing to the core, like, all spit getting on me. Getting like that to that point, So, yeah. Been there.
Right. Yeah.
Defending something that they have no clue what it is that they're defending.
But defending the nation of Crayola.
They don't even know what they're defending, and they're getting upset.
Mad.
And these are grown folks too. That majority of them I've encountered when they get angry. Like there's people that I've looked up to growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now that I realize certain things, I'm like, yo, you failed me. Never mind. We're arguing. You failed me because you're supposed to know this to tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
No, if you would be free indeed, you must seek the truth. Right? Yeah, same thing going back in the scriptures. Him taking all these different parts of scriptures, you know what I mean, putting it into the Moorish info so that the Moors can have something worthy now, right? The truth shall set you free. You know, all these people want to be free, but all they do is accept lies. And then want to know how come they're not free. Well, because you're not dealing with the truth. Like what you want? How hard is this? This stuff is not hard. Accept the truth, then you'll be free. Accept the lies, then you're probably going to be a slave to somebody for forever. Just because you embraced the fiction. You embrace what's not reality.
It's like now their kids are embracing fiction now too.
Yeah.
Now they're like, well, they're always in a victimized position. It's like life. You know, I don't want to have more than what they have then because it makes me look bad now. And those guys are cool. And now their kids want to go and be with these guys now, and you know they want to hang on to call themselves a color now.
Yeah.
Parents, like you know, imagine, like our parents, like a lot of us didn't, they ignorantly never knew, but I feel a lot of them did it to just keep the bullshit going, in the sense of, okay, you got Halloween, you got Santa Claus, you know, they're telling into children that there's Santa Claus, you got to go to bed, or else you're not gonna get the presents underneath the Christmas tree, right? You know what I mean? Or you're gonna get coal underneath because if you were bad, you're gonna get the coal. And you know, all these psychological things that are being like you're being told to do are just complete lies.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come Halloween time, you're going to dress up in a costume. You know that human beings are not realistically; those are not human beings. You know, like the reality of things, and they put it in their minds, and so it's like how did it get to that? And like the prophet said, it's so strange how people cling on to these things and still can't. It's like a mystery, like you can't figure it out.
But that's a lot to do with the Western world because I grew up in Jamaica and everybody was going like
Right. Yeah.
Christmas, but there's no Santa Claus.
There's no Santa Claus, yeah.
Oh,
you have Christmas, no Santa Claus.
No, there's no Santa Claus. So there's Christmas. In Western world.
Yeah.
Just have a dinner or something. Yeah. Big feast.
Yeah.
Over here, they pushed it like, yo, this is it. You know, this is the lie. You gotta run with it.
Yeah.
You know, and we as young children, we don't know any better because the adults will tell us, like, they're the ones telling us, right?
Yeah.
We don't know any better.
Don't know any better as children. You know, really, you're just going with it. Yeah.
School and all that stuff to make you do all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, over time, though, I think it's just common sense, though, once you get older.
Right.
Yeah.
It's your brain.
Yeah.
Santa Claus, especially with Santa Claus, there's nowhere there's some fat European guy with reindeers and stuff down there. Coming down the chimney, he's that big. Like, it's physically impossible.
It's impossible.
But then when you get to like the Netherlands now in Europe, and you see them dressing up like that, but painting their faces with coal, and they're like, well, that's kind of strange. And then you start looking more into it, and then it's like they're somewhat talking about our history in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, It's like they took the version of that, but then they turned into something else when by the time it got over here. Just keep the confusion going.
Yeah. That was part of what Jose Pimenta Bay was talking about too with the history, that you know there's publications that you're gonna get in Europe and that you're gonna get over here. And then the publications in Europe is gonna say, you know, the Moors, whatever like that, and then the publication over here is talking about the Negro. You know what I mean? Same author, but over here they're not going through that whole, you know, tell you the truth about what this is. They're gonna be dealing with the fiction,
right?
Because they could only deal with the fiction because they're a fiction. They can't deal with the reality, really and truly.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can't say, you know, Black Pete is Santa Claus or you know, Yahshua is a dark skin or whatever like that. They gotta deal with the fiction because they themselves are a fiction. You know what I mean? And the fiction can't stand up for truth. Only truth could stand up for truth. You know? You had something?
Yeah, no, it's interesting you said that because looking up, Muslim, right? We notice in the West or in the East, they still refer to the people over there as Muslims.
Mm. Yeah.
It's only when they come over here, it's Muslims.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's, because like you said, they're fiction and they can only they lie.
Yeah. They could only say people are black.
Right.
Over here. You go anywhere else, you're not gonna find that. Black people or people identified as
Muslims.
colors or whatever like that.
Over there, they're identified as Muslims.
Is that something to do with like the linguistics of like the words that they're using?
Like if you read their newspaper over there, they don't say Muslims.
Yeah.
They'll refer to the so-called black people as Muslims.
Yeah, but they use like some Qurans will have a K and then some will have a Q.
Yeah, language.
Is that just
different.
They want us to adopt their linguistics of how they're saying, but then if we don't look in the dictionary, we're not studying, we won't even get it.
You're never gonna get it.
Right.
And also, because you mentioned something too, and I was talking to my cousin yesterday too. She's in her 30s now, I believe. And she's like, yeah, I always see you posting stuff about, we're not black and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what else to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know how to even explain that. Because I'm like, you're grown. You not even get that.
Yeah. But that's going back to the thing of the research that one of the writings talks about the same thing, that if you found out that you're not black or whatever, then the next logical thing is, what are we?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once that question comes up, it's not, if we're not black, then I guess, we're nothing and stop there. It's supposed to lead you to the next place. But if the people aren't even, going back to the brain not being wired properly, if it's not even in their mind that, if I don't know something, I'm going to go research it. You know what I mean? Then they're not going to go research it.
As if they traded the cross for that, though, the nationality, right?
Yeah.
Because the cross is like right here in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And nationality not important, so it's like, I'm a Christian now.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's all they know. And then nothing else matters now, because all they see is death. Like, death is the beginning of life, I guess they will say.
Mm-hmm.
So to overcome that now, even now, because you've been indoctrinated by what's been given to you by somebody else, because it doesn't even come from, that's a different kind of context or narrative that they've sold us now. I feel like, what I mean? It's like, once you get past that, and then you can actually get to this now. I'm trying to show people that too, but it's challenging because they're claiming onto it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even in the industry too, they say there's levels to this. Mm-hmm. What the levels that they're talking about isn't necessarily the levels that they're what they're dealing with in terms of, there's levels to this. It's all about the mind, because they know what the handlers. Right?
But they're talking about something pertaining to
metaphysical and right.
You see what you're saying? Are you saying like the rappers are talking about like trying to get to that level of success? Right,
like mentally, like it's letting go of all that material and getting to a different level, and you see there's levels to this, right? Sure. And you said, letting go of that cross and getting to this, levels.
Yeah. But they have to acknowledge the levels and then want to go through whatever it is to go to the different levels. You know what I mean? Like when let me see, when peace more. When you have majority of people who aren't committed to this side of the info, right? Majority of people aren't committed to this side. There'll be reasoning behind why they can't, right? Not that they went and researched and checked and said, that's BS info or whatever the case is. whether it's they saw somebody say something, they heard somebody say something, they watched somebody's live, they whatever, but them going and checking for themselves didn't happen. Because majority of people who go check for themselves, this stuff is irrefutable. You can't even find anything to press that. Okay, nah, we're not Moors. We're more black than we are Moors. Like there's no way you're finding info unless you're going to some black scholar or whoever. That's all they push. That our people are black and African and whatever like that. Well, of course you're gonna get that from them, but majority is Moors going throughout the world, and they talk to people about who we are as a people. First thing they know is that we're not black people. First thing they know that something's wrong with that. Why do people call themselves black or whatever like that? You guys not black people. You know what I mean? And they'll talk about some ancient things that our people are before they say that we're black like what we say. But it goes back to the thing with the levels of it, recognizing that in order for us to evolve as a people, you have to go through the gauntlet. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? And our people aren't willing to take their blows. They're not willing to be wrong. You know what I mean? They're not willing to accept that they're wrong. If they're wrong, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? They're not looking to change anything. They're gonna stay in that same wrong position until it gets to, you know what I mean, life or death or something like that.
Sure.
And then now they want to know, or you know what I mean, they're about to get 25 to life or something like that. Now they want to talk to Moors about how they can be a Moor or whatever the case is, right?
I want to have something.
Yeah, go ahead, Moor.
Before Corona, like just before Corona, in the summer before, I met one guy at my ends there, I'm black, my domicile is that, and he's Jehovah's Witness. He's with Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
We started off. So I told him, me too, I know about that because my mom was a Jehovah's Witness, so I know all them things. We talked for maybe an hour and change. I'm on my way from work, passing stop where he's at his domicile. We talked for more than an hour, maybe. And we see each other after that, but never get into it. But I give him things and tell him where to go. And leave it at that. It was last week he called me. And he told me he go, he see, he look, he check. And there's nowhere else. It's gotta be. Just called me. You see from Corona? I told him. And he's been seeing things, checking things, going back to some scriptures that I gave him. And then he called me last week. He called me maybe 1 o'clock in the night. Because when he called me, he said, I want to call it, I don't want to call it because maybe you're sleeping. But man, I'm seeing so many things, man. I have to call you. I have to call him. He called me and we talk, and we're supposed to be here today too, but kind of back because we scheduled and stuff. But when they take it like you said, and if they look into it good and they don't come up with something there, it's like on them, in other words. But they're not gonna find nothing else, and they're not gonna see nothing better than being black.
Yep.
All we know is being black. Now they see this, and they see all the truth buried down there. He even start mentioning the Pope to me in our conversation, the things that he hear from what he said, and I start bringing up to him, remembering what part when he said you must research your own history.
Yeah.
Never mind history that they teach you. Technically is what he's saying. So all those things so that was it. He's on it.
So,
And like you said, to some of us, they know, and that's it. I just have to leave them. Okay, you know, we agree that you know. So one thing they said about people that know, who knows better, do better.
Yeah.
So it's up to you now.
Straight up. We're going to take an excerpt from Administrative Functions that you can get at rvbaypublications.com. And this is page 74. The Word. Setting on their points and eager to undertake their tasks of developing undeveloped minds, these servants of the nation are working the tools of the mind for the uplifting of fallen humanity. Called to come forth are our honorable and dedicated Moorish Society Sunday School instructors, pedologists, and teachers. Veneration and honors to our Moorish educators. Entrusted to these good, moral, upstanding members and citizens of the Moorish nation and temples of science, these dedicated cultivators have taken on a vital role in society. They place their hands and time to the very wealth of our Moorish society, and with certainty, they are primary trustees of our Moorish posterity as intellectual nurturers of our Moorish babies. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and our redeeming Nabi and guide, instructs us to teach children early in the way to God Allah, and this path they will not stray from. And just like anybody else or any other people, that once they have something of some type of substance, they teach to the children. And once they teach their children, now it's in their society, in their nation, in their body politic, whatever, for as long as those children now are going to be alive. And then they have children and teach it to theirs, and then it's going to be carried on for further. So it's a part of the customs of nationhood, part of the customs of society, that you look at. In order to look at the future, you're going to deal with who's present and imparting the knowledge to the present so that the future could get it at some time. It might be time that we're not here. Yeah. That we know that, because if you look at all the different philanthropy, whatever, church, whoever that say, to pass this down to the children, set up something, set up an institution so that the children could have something later on, set up some insurance or whatever like that, so that later on the children could get $1 million. You know what I mean? They're paying $25 a month right now for the children to get $1 million in the future. Then everybody should probably have some type of something they're investing in, some type of insurance or whatever, so that their future could have something. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Mark.
Like you mentioned, the children. What I noticed with the younger ones now, they're easy to talk to than my age. Because my age, they always say, yeah, I know. That's it. When I talk to my children, they're looking at their parents, especially because what I do, the main thing I use is the fingers. Because the easiest, quick thing to say to them.
Yeah.
With their parents while you're traveling. You could walk in and ask that question, and by the turn you finish and you're gone. And always, when I ask them about the fingers, they all can, they have 10 fingers. And I told them specifically, you see me, this old man, they lied to me too. Not only you, they lied to me. They told me I have 10 fingers. And when something good happened, they said 2 thumbs up. How many fingers do you have? That they look at their fingers, they look at their parents, looking at me, and they're like, something is wrong. You're right. You know what I mean? They don't object you.
Yeah.
And say, yeah, no. Now I don't know what happened after them and their parents move on.
Yeah.
But that's a part of letting the babies know the truth. So now those babies gonna remember the guy with that kind of a hat. It's the old man that told me.
Yeah.
One day when they know who the Moors are, then they will remember.
It'll hit them.
Yeah, they will remember.
Yeah. We as members of the Moorish society must pave the way with zeal and integrity and strive to be positive examples for the youth and for the newly conscious Moors. Simply attending your Sunday school meetings and sending our children to their Sunday school classes is basic organization supports. The greater is to be actively productive and demonstrating fruition co-joined with that attendance. Right? So there's commitment that goes with the membership. That once you grab the reins on the horse, it's to ride. You're not to hold the reins, walk around with the horse. You might as well get on the thing and you know what I mean? Make this thing move. See what's up. You have the car keys to just have the car sitting there. It's to go in there, put the thing in, turn the key, and then use this car for something.
That's why the prophet said, if you
Right.
lose confidence, turn in your buttons and fez.
Right.
Yep.
Return to the state.
Return to the state. If you're not gonna ride, yeah. If you're not gonna ride the horse, then no problem.
Get off.
Just
Get off.
just get off.
Yeah. Someone else will drive.
Right. And again, you know, and we sort of have the reverse going on, that, you know, simply doing the greater activity, being productive and demonstrating fruition is not as much as you make in your meetings. The meetings is really where it's at, as far as with us, because we know that at the meetings is where the communion with Moors is taking place, where the being able to, you know, bounce ideas off each other. More as an issue, more could talk to 7 Moors at the meeting, opposed to, you know, just being out there and hope you see a Moor to talk to or whatever like that. At the meeting, you're definitely gonna bump into Moors there.
That's
Right.
You know, they show you in movies too, like, you know, they have gangs and all this stuff.
Yeah.
The members
Yep.
are showing up. There's no ifs, ands, buts.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, you gotta show up to the meeting. You're part of this. You show up. There's no excuse. Even if there's a little snow or rain outside, maybe you gotta pay the tax man extra money to get to where you need to get to. You know, but they're showing up, or else, you know, it's sort of like treason, right? You know,
You're gonna
member,
lifetime.
you're looking at the member like, what's this guy not doing at this important meeting? You know, like, you know, I've seen many movies like this, you know, where the members are called out if they're not there. And
Yeah.
where were you at the meeting?
Yeah, doesn't matter if it's in the kitchen or a boiler room or
Right.
whatever. It's
Right.
showing up.
Yeah.
If you're like a registered member, right?
Going back to this meeting we had with these unconscious Moors on Friday. You know, so they connected with one of the Moors, and they set up this thing. Well, you know, come on over, you know what I mean, so we can build and whatever like that. You know, we know some Moors, you guys are Moors, so then we come together, whatever. So we go to the thing, and then we're the only Moors there. And then the unconscious Moors are there, but their Moors didn't come to the thing or whatever, right? So, you know, so we're looking at, well, you know, what is this?
Right.
You know what I mean? How is it that what is this? Why aren't your Moors here at this meeting? The Moors who put you on and said that, you know, this is the whatever like that, and then you have something and then they don't show up to it. That should let you know something about these Moors. Who you're saying that they're the Moors or whatever the case is. They put you on to something. Obviously, something's going on here. You know what I mean? Because there's no way that, you know, Moors are calling something for Moors and then Moors aren't going to be there. Something's off. right? Here, the Sunday school teacher has the divine duty of revealing to the child and the parent the gift that Allah has given them, teaching them to make the most of one's God-given talents and secure adequate compensation, return for one's labor. Right, going back again to what we were saying earlier, with people trying to use this information for some type of selfish gain, opposed to using it from the humanitarian perspective, that you're not gonna get it back here like that. You're gonna get it back after you leave here. Your obligations here is to the nation. Your obligations is to the offspring. Your obligation is to uplift fallen humanity, and whatever comes from that's gonna come from it. You're not doing it to get something to come from it. You're doing it because that's the obligation. Whatever comes, you'll know when it manifests, right? And the securing of the adequate compensation, the return for one's labor is a must, or is a given, right? Like you should get what you deserve based on, whatever gift it is that you have, that Allah gave you, then you're offering that. You should get what you say is due for that. You know what I mean? Now, if you think that what you have is worth $1 million and you don't get $1 million, you don't be mad that you didn't get $1 million. Maybe you're a little bit over yourself. You need to chill out a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe you think too much of yourself.
Yeah.
You need to slow down.
That's one of the things. An experience with one of my brothers, when I brought back home, asking those questions. So my sister told me, okay, look, mom off 12 hours. He's the only one find out this thing. And he's not it. Oh, what is he getting from it? Okay, good. All of us still paying tax and he's the only one not paying? Answer that. All of us have to pay tax. All of mama rest of the children have to pay tax. He's the only one not paying none. And nobody can tell him to pay. What do you mean you don't get nothing? You're looking at that part like what you get. No, it's not about what you get.
Not about what you get.
But just to show you, he's already getting whether he want it or not.
Yeah.
He's the only one of the 12 children my mother have not paying taxes.
Yeah.
Who is wrong and who is right? I don't want to get into that, bro.
Yeah.
That's the argument my sister gave to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're really looking for something.
Looking
for something.
Yeah. The only way they're gonna be involved is if they get something from it. Yeah. And that's the downfall with our people. That's the downfall. The things that they are trying to get from things, are not where it's at. You know what I mean?
Material.
You're trying to get something always.
You start with getting something. You know what it is? The most important thing. Your birthright.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yep.
Nothing else.
Once you have that, you're good to go.
From nobody. Your birthright, you're good to go.
Yep. And the issue that we have is that not enough of us want their birthright.
Exactly.
Majority of us want other things instead of their birthright. Where if they would have put the energy of what they want instead of these frivolous stuff to wanting their birthright, then this stuff will open up tomorrow. It wouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't have any issues like we're having as a people.
It's like with the guy that came in here and wanted the sandwich.
Yeah.
The same thing. Like
Yeah.
Birthright. He chose the morsel of bread over his birthright.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it. Because you come into this temple where you can get your, and it says, where is it? It's not on there, but I'm sure it's outside the door. You can see it. It says, come, I need you. Too, right? But the guy comes in for the morsel of bread, and then he just leaves. That was his will, like that was his mind, like like he didn't think that like, okay, food is not the objective. Maybe I should get my birthrights.
Well, actually, he did ask for literature though. He did ask for literature. Yeah, he did ask for some books. So he's
Yeah.
That could be part of the play, We just have some books so they don't think that it's all about them.
It's like that, but all it says is like, we all get free will to choose whatever we want, So even if that Elvis presented to us many times, we still get free will.
Yeah. Our Moorish Society School aims are to recognize, to cultivate, and to stimulate all potentials in a member's abilities and talents, and accentuates them by teaching many important skills. Our school provides levels of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that helps make students useful and productive members of our Moorish society and of the temples. We teach our members about their obligations as members and citizens of this free national republic and present those responsibilities with reason and functionality. We teach the reciprocal need for learning about and respecting the rights of others and about the advantages and benefits of living cooperatively with others of different faith. The proper humanitarian instructions members should demonstrate and reflect the same in other communities. We also teach the importance of responsible health maintenance of the body. Our Moorish Society School aspires to grow and establish all grades of school, ascending from nursery to kindergarten, to elementary, to junior, to middle, to high, and to college and universities. We also aspire to establish a Moorish Hall of Learning and to constructively organize school boards as needed, etc. Therefore, we recognize that education is important. It not only produces well-rounded members of society, it also promotes confidence and unity. And unity is a necessary component for stimulating national progress. Our Moorish Society School curriculum education shall be Islamism, applied science, covering all aspects of life. Thus, we will address social skills, morals, ethics, the arts and sciences, race pride and principles, religious instruction, prayer, fasting, charity, faith, and Hajj, political science, republic principles of the divine and national movement, economics, compensation for one's skills, law of reciprocity, culture, knowledge of your past, enabling you to know the present and to foresee a future, jurisprudence, judicial and extrajudicial instruction, etc. This and more shall be done with all the attachments, habits, values, etiquette, and correct attitude. This broad base of education encompasses and accomplishes our way of life, our customs, and from the ancient customs of a people, the common law is derived. The purpose of Moorish education is to restore the ancient Moorish standard of philology, to reinstate high culture disciplines, to reintroduce Moors to many ancient truths, once removed by Roman Inquisition policies, to acquire functional knowledge, intellectual disciplines, advocate knowledge of the rights and duties of citizenship, civics, promote the codes of etiquette, enhance individual and family development, institute activities involving vocational training and craftsmanship, and teach the spiritual principles of character building, etc. So when we look at this Moorish learning, everybody has something that they're skilled in, adept in, know, or whatever the case is. And when we went to Chicago to get our charter and all that stuff in 2008, the temple that was there, every day of the week they had something going on, right? And then throughout that day, it'll be different activities throughout that day that, you know, whoever the members are, we're doing. The holistic chef lady, she had a day when she had her 2 hours to whatever. The mufti, the head mufti, he had a day that they had the martial arts training. The secretary had a day where secretary was there doing her work. Nobody's in there on that day. That's her day to do all her secretary stuff that she has to get done for the temple. Treasurer had their day. You know, adept meeting, they had their day. You know, the children had their day. You know, whatever else. Somebody from the outside wanting to get space to have a meeting for something, they had their day. So there's enough work for everybody to do. It's just finding out what it is that everybody does and then implementing whatever could be done. And then also too, one of the things that was effective with them was that everything they did wasn't for Moors only. Everything they did was open to anybody. The members just got special privilege, but the thing's open for anybody. Right? So the mufti would have the mufti force training, and then outside people who, you know, and they mainly would do, for example, children and women self-defense, as far as like the outside being able to come to learn, right? No men were coming to learn martial arts or whatever unless they were part of the mufti force. The only people who could come learn for free or whatever like that, women and children. And then that would bring people in, you know what I mean? Because, you know, they're at the temple, so they're seeing what's going on.
It's like the guy that
right?
come and get the sound.
Yeah, right? You know? So the ability for this to be the learning institution, like they say, from nursery to university, is based on whatever the members have that they can offer to make this be that. So we should have, you know, a body of teachers that, you know, are skilled, versed, whatever, in the nursery realm, and then the kindergarten realm, then the junior high school realm, then the high school realm, university realm. All these people have their qualifications or whatever the case is that is needed in order to teach them whatever it is that they need to learn. Matter of fact, it could even be set up to the point where these people who are learning or these people who are teaching, they can now train others and certify them to be whatever it is that they're a master of. Right? Speaking about, you know, vocational training and speaking about trade, craftsmanship, or whatever the case is, that, you know, you want to know about you know, mechanics. Noir has a school, mechanics school, the Moorish mechanics school, and who wants to go mechanics, they can go there. Rennie has the whatever school, who wants to do that, they can go to that school. And then all these things are created from what it is that is coming in from the members, you know, the foreign sympathizers, you know, like we said, we have our heat and all that stuff, because somebody said, here's $5,000 that was in there and the place was freezing. You guys need heat up in here. Go buy a system so you could have heat in the stuff for the members, right? You know, oh, you guys, building small over here. You guys need a new building. Here's $5,000 put onto a new building, right? This is where it's gonna be, with individuals seeing what it is and then realizing that, oh, if we want If we want it, then we got to build it. It's not happening if we don't build it. Only way we're going to get it is if we build it. Yeah, we can get, guy over there has a hammer, guy over there has a screwdriver, guy over there has whatever. But if the Moors have those stuff and they bring it in, it's going to be worth more than just some outsider doing it. That who we know that as soon as outsiders, now they want receipt for something. You know what I mean? They're going to want something back for what it is that they're given, opposed to it being done just because it's what should be done. Right? Any questions or comments?
I'll say that's just like the Moorish Mason and Alien book I just finished reading yesterday. Same one about the Rick Smith guy.
Yeah.
We saying the same thing in the last chapter, and I was finished reading the book yesterday. Talking about like some people, the things they just think there's some alien that's gonna come down from space.
Yeah.
God that's gonna come and make everything better.
Yeah.
And that was true, then that would mean that we're like worthless for nothing.
Yeah. They never came. They never came. Yeah. Straight. Yeah. Straight up.
Exactly.
Yeah. 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 Cheat code. You want the cheat code?
It goes back to when the Yahshua Jesus, the mass Christianity waiting for. Many things that Jesus tell them to do, they don't even start with them.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is right now Jesus is coming.
Yeah.
Wait for it. And nothing that you tell them to do, they do.
They do it. Yeah. Why would he come?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he coming? What's he coming for? What the hell is he coming for? What's the purpose? Right. So just a reminder again, January 7th, Noble Drew Ali Day, 25 Cecil Street. We're going to be at the Steelworkers Union Hall building, 25 Cecil Street, downtown. We're putting the call out for anybody who is near Canaanland to be at the spot. This is our first one since the whole COVID and whatever like that. So we're looking for all the Moors to be there. Honors to the Moors who've been supporting and continue to support and all that. And any online people that are looking to be part of the festivities that we do every year. This is our 13th one again. Canaanlandguide@gmail.com. Just send
This is the 13th. It's going to be the 13th one?
Yeah. So just send an email to canaanlandguide@gmail.com and we'll get you on the list so that we can send out an email to you momentarily with the instructions to pay and getting your link and all that stuff.
You know, that holistic, I forgot his name, it was Dr. something maybe. And he came to one of the Noble Rally days, the one that we came to the temple after and all those people came. I remember when he had it, he was doing like giving some presentations.
Oh yeah. Dave, I'm not sure, and I'm not too sure, but if you need a link for him, we'll connect you with him. Yeah, we'll connect you with him. Yeah, we got a few calls. There's gonna be some more from out of Canaanland are gonna be here. The Moors near New Brunswick supposed to be coming down. They're supposed to be here. Couple other Moors, some of the regulars from years past will be here. But this is sort of what people look forward to as far as with Canaanland. Drew Ali Day and the barbecue are two headliners for Moors just generally. They're gonna try to find their way here to be involved with those things. So honors to all the support. All the supporters. We'll be here again next week Next week might be just the sit-in, just so we could sort out some stuff for Diwali Day, and I know a couple people had some personal stuff that they're dealing with that they're gonna come in to have some conversations about that next week. So there might not be online next week. We'll use next week as our in-house meeting. So
The solstice walk too.
yeah, the solstice walk is probably gonna be probably 2 weeks, either 17th or 18th. More than likely the 18th, and that'll be our walk on the Beltline, Merton Street and Young Street.
The one we walked before.
Yeah.
So we're starting up at Young.
Yeah, start at Young, and then we walk over the tracks, and then we
West.
keep walking west. Yeah. Islam Moors, give thanks. Oh yeah, and we're gonna be getting back on our catering. Yeah. We're getting back on our catering. So one of the mothers that we know that does vegan catering, we're gonna be getting sandwiches from her. It's gonna be 5 notes for the sandwiches, and you get also your kale slaw and water with that. And on that, we'll close out. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through a holy prophet, Noble Juali, Islam, Ashe.
Do you have any copies of the Moorish literature and the
at many functions we might have the Moorish literature. I don't think there's any more back there. I gotta check. There might be some back there still. There's a lot more.